In the plains of Eastern Europe, a new power had emerged. No longer disunified and tribal, its people were fierce, its rulers ambitious, and its customs rooted in pagan tradition. Yet the world around them was changing. The great religions of the age were on the move, expanding through conquest, persuasion, and trade. And, in the shadows of these shifting forces, one ruler would make a decision that would forever alter the spiritual course of his people. Hello, and welcome to Impactful Moments, where we explore some of the most, you guessed it, impactful moments in human history. If history is your thing, or you simply enjoy learning new topics, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Your support helps us to continue creating captivating, impactful, historical content. In this video, we will explore the conversion of Vladimir the Great, a move that would carry the torch of Eastern Orthodoxy for centuries to come. As civilizations shifted across Europe, North Africa, the Mediterranean, and the Far East, the vast forested lands and river networks of Eastern Europe remained largely tribal. Known to the Romans as the Veneti and later referred to collectively as the Slavs, these loosely organized communities shared linguistic and cultural traits but remained politically fragmented, well into the early Middle Ages. That began to change in the 9th century, during the age of Viking expansion. According to the Primary Chronicle, a foundational source for early Rus history, Slavic tribes embroiled in internal conflict invited a Varangian or Eastern Viking prince named Rurik to bring order. Rurik established himself in Novgorod around 862, marking the beginning of what would become the Rurikid dynasty and the Rus, a people blending Scandinavian and Slavic blood and heritage. Following his death, Rurik's relative and regent, Oleg, took control. Moving southward, Oleg captured the city of Kiev, a strategically placed trade hub along the Dnieper River, and established it as the capital of a growing polity, Kievan Rus. From this power base, the Rus consolidated control over neighboring tribes and developed critical trade relationships with both the Byzantine Empire and the Islamic world. Kievan Rus flourished under a succession of ambitious rulers. Igor, Rurik's son, expanded the state's influence, but was killed during a failed tribute collection from the Drevlians. His widow, Olga, ruled as regent and became the first Rus ruler to convert to Christianity, an act more symbolic than transformative at the time, but one that signaled growing ties with Byzantium. Their son, Sviatoslav, shifted the Rus toward military conquest. Rejecting Christianity, he launched campaigns against the Khazars and the Bulgars, extending Rus control into the Balkans and making Kievan Rus one of the most formidable powers in Eastern Europe. Following Sviatoslav's death, his lands were divided among his sons. Yaropolk took control of Kiev and the surrounding heartland. Oleg ruled the forested lands of the Drevlians, and Vladimir, though considered illegitimate, was given Novgorod. The Primary Chronicle notes that civil war broke out in 977, after Oleg killed Liut, the son of Yaropolk's voevoda, a senior troop commander named Sveneld. At Svenald's urging, Yaropolk invaded Oleg's territory, and in the ensuing clash, Oleg was killed, reportedly drowning in his moat, likely trampled as he attempted to retreat behind the fortress gates. With his brother gone and Yaropolk's forces advancing, Vladimir fled north to Scandinavia, the land of his Varangian kin, leaving Novgorod undefended. However, Vladimir returned the following year with a Varangian mercenary force, capturing Polotsk and later Smolensk. By 978, Vladimir had arrived at Kiev. Yaropolk fled to Rudnia, where he was lured into negotiations only to be ambushed and killed. With no rivals left, Vladimir declared himself Knyaz, or Grand Prince of Kievan Rus. Firmly established as the ruler of Kievan Rus, Vladimir began his reign with strong devotion to paganism. He erected idols and temples dedicated to Norse, Slavic, and other deities throughout the land. His court life reflected pagan values as well, marked by indulgent feasts, hundreds of concubines, and, according to some accounts, even human sacrifice. Under Vladimir's early rule, Christianity was openly suppressed. Many Christians were forced to conceal their faith or flee. But despite this hostility, the religious landscape surrounding Kievan Rus was changing rapidly. Western Europe and the Byzantine Empire were Christian. The Volga Bulgars had adopted Islam. The Khazars, once dominant in the region, had converted to Judaism. Even among the Slavs in the Balkans, Byzantine Christianity had taken root. There were also internal influences. Vladimir's mother is said to have been a Christian, and some accounts suggest that Yaropolk may have adopted Christianity before his death. But within Kievan Rus itself, the population remained overwhelmingly pagan. In 986, Vladimir began to reconsider his position. Whether this shift was driven by genuine faith, political strategy, or both remains uncertain. According to the primary chronicle, Vladimir sent envoys to investigate the major monotheistic religions of the region: Judaism, Islam, Latin Christianity, and Byzantine Christianity, which had already begun to diverge from its Western counterpart. Vladimir weighed each religion's appeal against its shortcomings. Islam was rejected due to its ban on alcohol and pork. Judaism was dismissed because of the exile and statelessness of the Jewish people. Latin Christianity was viewed as austere, especially compared to the grandeur of the Byzantine society. Yet the envoys who visited Constantinople were particularly struck by the magnificence of the Hagia Sophia and the splendor of the imperial capital. According to the report, quote-unquote, "We no longer knew whether we were in heaven or on earth." Soon after, Vladimir captured the Byzantine city of Chersonesus in Crimea. This act strengthened his position and served as leverage in negotiations with Emperor Basil II, who, at the time, was facing internal revolt. According to Islamic sources, it was actually Basil who requested Vladimir's military support against the revolt led by Bardas Phokas, and Vladimir agreed on the condition that he was allowed to marry the emperor's sister, Anna. But this union would only be permitted if Vladimir converted to Christianity. In 988, Vladimir was baptized in the city of Chersonesus, adopting the Christian name Basil in honor of his new brother-in-law, the Byzantine emperor. Unlike his mother Olga, whose conversion had remained a personal decision, Vladimir took a far more assertive approach. Upon returning to Kiev, he ordered the mass baptism of the city's population in the Dnieper River, and over time extended the mandate to other major centers across Kievan Rus. Christianity, which had once been a marginal or persecuted presence, was now established as the official faith of the state. Vladimir didn't just adopt Christianity. He turned on the very pagan system he had helped construct less than a decade earlier. Temples were torn down, idols were smashed or thrown into rivers, and his hundreds of concubines were dismissed. The same man who may have once overseen blood sacrifices now demanded mass baptisms, starting in Kiev and extending outward to other major cities. For the first time, the diverse peoples of the Rus were bound by a single, state-backed religious identity, a clear message that a new era had begun. This new Christian identity also cemented the Rus' alignment with the Byzantine Empire. Vladimir's marriage to Princess Anna symbolized a formal link between the two powers. That relationship quickly took on practical significance. As per their agreement, Vladimir sent Rus warriors to suppress the revolt in Constantinople. These Varangian troops impressed the emperor so deeply that they formed the Varangian Guard, an elite force tasked with protecting the emperor himself. Many of these guardsmen were drawn directly from Rus lands and served for generations after the Viking age faded, and these warriors had been fully absorbed into Byzantine society. Even the tone of Vladimir's rule shifted. Anna, initially appalled at the idea of marrying a barbarian prince, slowly came to play an important role, not just in the court, but in Vladimir's personal transformation. She became a spiritual advisor of sorts, encouraging acts of mercy and charity. The previous warlike prince began founding orphanages, building churches and monasteries, promoting education, and personally visiting the poor. Relations with neighboring states became more diplomatic and less driven by raiding and tribute. This shift in faith fundamentally redefined what it meant to rule and what it meant to be Rus. The Christianization of the Rus permanently reoriented the region's place in global civilization. As Kiev's prominence faded, the center of Orthodox life shifted to the forests of the northeast, Moscow. Once a minor outpost, it began to view itself as the rightful successor to Constantinople after its fall in 1453. From this emerged the idea of Moscow as the Third Rome, the last true bastion of Christianity on earth. This belief would shape the Russian state's identity for centuries, offering a divine rationale for centralization and expansion. The arrival of Christianity also triggered a sweeping intellectual transformation. Byzantine missionaries, including the brothers Cyril and Methodius, played a crucial role in translating religious texts and crafting a written language suited to the Rus. The Cyrillic alphabet, which over time became ubiquitous across the region and remains one of the most widely used writing systems in the world today, even draws its name from Cyril himself. Yet, even as Orthodoxy unified parts of the Rus, it also planted the seeds of future division. After the East-West Schism of 1054, the line between Orthodox and Catholic Europe hardened, and Kievan Rus stood directly on that frontier. In the centuries that followed, Catholic influence spread into the Western Rus territories through Poland and Lithuania, while the Eastern principalities remained loyal to Constantinople. These overlapping religious legacies still shape regional identities today, especially in Ukraine and Belarus, where Orthodoxy and Catholicism coexist, often reflecting deeper political and cultural divides, with some aligning more closely with Russia and others with the West. And then, of course, there is the religious legacy, the towering onion domes and gilded icons that came to define Russian Orthodoxy. Byzantine architects and artisans brought in during Vladimir's reign left a clear aesthetic mark. That legacy endures most famously in St. Basil's Cathedral, whose namesake, Basil the Blessed, traces his name back to the Byzantine Emperor Basil II, the ruler who first delivered Christianity to the Rus. That name is still echoed in the Slavic form Vasily. But ultimately, as Byzantine Orthodoxy faded into history, it would find a champion in the Rus that would carry its torch forward. As one of the three main branches of Christianity, Eastern Orthodoxy has an estimated 220 million adherents today, and while many sub-branches do exist, the Slavic denominations make up the lion's share, carrying the traditions of the old into the modern world. I hope you enjoyed this video and found this period in history both informative and enlightening. Please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below, and I hope you can join us for another video. Thanks for watching.